Sean Kurzweil from Ray White, Callumvale. We're at the lovely Tagani's restaurant here in the heart of Callumvale today. Now, what are we here to talk about, Marianne?
Well, I thought something that we could talk about today is the difference around pre-approved or a real pre-approval. So fully assessed pre-approval versus just a piece of paper that says you're approved.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. What I've been finding of late, just to give you a bit of background, we get a lot of buyers for open homes and people naturally need money to buy them. Get a lot of comments saying that we are pre-approved. We are ready to go. We've got it on a piece of paper, as Marianne said. Now, that's not always the case. Today we'll just go through a bit of an idea in terms of what is the difference. Marianne, what are you finding? So what exactly is a paper pre-approval?
So a paper pre-approval is basically when you've submitted an application into the computer system. Now, the computer system has generically looked at the figures that's been put in and said yay or nay. So no one has actually gone through and checked that the data's correct, the income's correct, the income's been calculated correctly or anything like that. They've simply just said, based on the numbers you've put in, then it's okay. So where we see that fall over is a lot of people might say, my income is, say, $55,000, but that $55,000 might be some of their ordinary pay, but also some overtime and shift allowance, which doesn't get used at 100% for some lenders. There's also issues with if you haven't been with your employer for a certain period of time or things like that, outside the box things which can turn your paper pre-approval into a decline.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, you pick up your mobile phone, really easy just to punch in a bunch of numbers on the Commonwealth Bank website or on the ANZ website or even one of the little banks. You get a bit of an idea. It tells you can borrow this amount. It's not always, obviously, as indicative, is it? I mean, personal circumstances are everything. What I've found is that you get a lot of buyers come through saying they are pre-approved for an X amount. The bank's told them they can borrow a certain amount, or they've just done what they've done on the mobile phone and done that calculation. So, Marianne, what should a buyer be doing? So, I mean, obviously, not simply just punching it on a calculator, whether it be for fun or not. What exactly should they be doing to ensure that they can afford a home?
So the key there is when you're talking to your broker or your bank, you want a fully assessed pre-approval. And what I mean by that is a credit officer has actually picked up your application, gone through your application, come back to you with any questions they might have or any further documentation, and then they've issued you with a pre-approval. So the difference there is you've actually got a physical credit officer who's happy with that approval and ready to back it.
Yeah, exactly right. So I mean, look, the great news is if you're going to auction, for example, if you're going to an auction, you've been told by the agent that a property it's going to go to auction in a week and a bit. Is your finance in order? If you've got that sort of certification, as Marianne's been saying, then guess what? You actually need a valuation because an auction is unconditional. However, in the circumstance where it is a private treaty, obviously, you are armed and ready to spend a certain amount. So it gives you an idea as to how much you can offer, which is fantastic news for an agent. It's fantastic news for a vendor. More importantly, you're the buyer. It's fantastic news for you.
I guess the other thing to add to is the time frames as well. So as you would know, when people are putting an offer on a property, these days it's typically around 21 days is probably pushing it out there, but 14 days. So if you've only got a piece of paper that's nothing fully assessed, then you've got a whole lot of stress to try and meet that deadline. So for example, I had a client who had a fully assessed pre-approval. They chose a property, signed the contract, and the following day we had a formal approval. It was that quick. So the following day they could call their solicitor and say, we're good to go, lock it in. Whereas I've had people who do have your pre-approval, paper-based pre-approval in place, and they signed a contract for 14 days, and we've had to ask for extensions, and eventually sometimes they do fall over. So it's going to save you a whole lot of stress and save you some time too.
Yeah, exactly right. So if you're a buyer, would you say that approvals are generally taking a little bit longer than what they have?
100%. So with the Royal Commission, I'm finding that even your very straightforward, great income, low debt loans are still getting one or two questions back from the lender. They're just being really thorough and really careful. So it's certainly taking a little bit longer than what it was.
Yeah, so a bank's got the microscope on them these days. In the end, especially if you're looking to buy a property, that is something to take into account. You need to make sure you've got all your ducks in a row, especially if it is a popular property. An agent will want the confidence to go to a vendor saying you're all ready to go with your potential purchase of the property. I will say a lot of agents I have found, if there is a better candidate that is finance ready, they'd be much more readily able to make that recommendation to that person. So it's highly important that you get that in order.
It can also
Yeah.
make a difference when you're offering a slightly less desirable amount on a property contract. If you can assure the buyer that you've got that fully assessed pre-approval, the valuation is a matter of 24 hours being done, and then you can have a formal approval.
Yeah.
Sometimes buyers, especially if they're in a rush,
Yeah.
in a bit of a hurry, they're quite keen to see that turnover rather than draw it out for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, exactly right. So, I mean, this doesn't just apply to your first home buyer. If you're looking at an upgrade, if you're looking to downsize and you own a bit on, and you're going to have to borrow a certain amount of money, this is where it also comes in. I mean, in the end, look, what we are here to do is to help out. Mary Ann's an incredibly experienced mortgage broker, so if you've got any questions, we're more than happy to cover them off. Obviously, from a real estate perspective and from a finance perspective, if you've got questions, by all means, send us either a little comment. If you've got questions about finance, if you are looking at doing some finance business, Mary Ann is here. She's of 360 Mortgage Solutions, and it's Sean from Ray White, and we thank you for your time.
Cheers, guys.
Great, have a great day.